In our handstand progression with our feet elevated or knees elevated doing leg lifts, your setup is going to be the same in terms of prioritizing your handstand line and getting stacked above all else. Once you hit that position, the goal is to then start extending one leg at a time. Now, the biggest thing to consider is that as you lift your leg, we want to make sure that the lifting leg is squeezed, meaning glute is squeezed. You're trying to extend all the way to pointed toes. Quad is engaged, we're not bending that knee. And we also want to think that as we lift our leg, we want to avoid ribs overextending or arching and compensation happening in that lower back. Your goal is to really fight to keep that hollow body bracing and continue pushing those shoulders open as you lift. And for some of you, that might mean keeping the lift a little bit smaller for now as you work on building some of that mobility overhead. Reduce the possibility of you trying to jump off. If you find that you're jumping off this leg just to get the float, it means we're probably missing something in terms of either shoulders being pressed open or core and glutes staying tight. So make sure that if you find you're jumping, that you want to. Next up, if you find that you keep tipping over, it's usually going to be two culprits. One is that you're rushing that bottom leg up. Don't stress getting that second leg up quickly. Now, what happens if you're constantly tipping over? Well, that's usually one of two things. One, maybe you're losing tension, you're getting core. It's usually one of two things. One, you might be losing tension in areas like your core or your shoulders might be collapsing. So make sure you're really prioritizing tension in those areas. Next thing is that you're probably rushing that second leg coming up. Remember, the goal or the idea of this kind of split position is to slow the movement down, to give you that water center of mass. If you're rushing to get that second leg up, but this top leg is still pulling over your shoulders, the result is that it's pulling your entire body over. It's not bad to have some repetitions from time to time that do maybe tip over. It's good practice for you to feel what it's like to have that mass shift too far over and for you to have to kind of cartwheel out of it. However, if you find that every single repetition you're tipping over, I want you to take your time, maybe take a step back and really fight for your positioning and not rushing that second leg up. Your goal is to achieve as many moments of float time in that free balance as possible. Those small moments are going to give you the confidence you need to build your handstand over time. Those small movements are going to give you the confidence you need and help you start understanding where your personal balance points are. So I'm going to get set up with my feet on the box, prioritizing getting my hips stacked over my shoulders. I'm going to look at the ground. So I'm going to look through my eyebrows. Notice I'm still not sticking my head out. I still want to be able to see the ground, but only through my eyebrows. I'm going to tap my bottom toe.
Now from here, I'm gonna lift my leg, and as I lift, I'm gonna keep pressing those shoulders open, and I'm gonna let this heel pull back just as far as I can feel my bottom leg lifting. Now I'm still pressing my shoulders open, I'm still keeping my core tight, everything squeezed, and I'm using my fingers and hands a little bit to help with the balance. Now over time, we could start narrowing that straddle position, but don't worry too much about that to start. Again, prioritize getting a little bit of balance time, and then know that as you get more confident, you can play with those positions a little bit more.